Chair Homendy, one of the many findings and recommendations in this report, one that stood out to me is how the lack of communication and coordination between the FAA and the Army contributed to this crash. What's even more concerning is that this lack of coordination apparently has not been resolved. Just yesterday, we saw how the lack of coordination between the FAA and the Department of Defense can lead to widespread confusion. Flights were delayed, canceled for many of my constituents, Senator Cruz's constituents, and others throughout the United States. But it's more than those flights being canceled. It's the worry and the uncertainty that also came from this. There's still been no answer from the President, from the United States government, from the Department of Transportation, from the Department of Defense, and now we're learning the Department of Homeland Security. They've all been quiet, and they stand behind what Secretary Duffy said, that it was about a drone incursion. Well, what's being reported now is that it was a laser that was on loan from the Department of Defense to the Department of Homeland Security Border Patrol, and that they shot a party balloon. Well, I thought that was a technical term for some craft. A party balloon is a balloon any one of you would buy for someone's birthday party. And they shut down, they said they were gonna shut down air traffic for 10 days without calling the White House, without calling the Department of Defense. Do you all know how long the airspace was shut down over Venezuela when the full force of the United States military went down there? 24 hours. Further, what's being reported is that the FAA and DOD have said that this technology was safe for air travel. It also says that there's accounts that there were DOD personnel on the ground there with Border Patrol. I appreciate Senator Cruz and Senator Cornyn making it abundantly clear that there needs to be a briefing in a skiff. I don't know why there needs to be a briefing in a skiff shooting a party balloon. But it's not just the Department of Defense that needs to be there, the Department of Transportation, the FAA as part of the Department of Transportation, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Border Patrol, and the people that were on the ground that did this. And I want to know why they're not communicating. So my question to you is, are you going to investigate this?
Our mandate is to investigate after a tragedy occurs.
I appreciate that. Let me ask you a different question. Yes or no, is a lack of federal coordination harmful to the safety of our airspace?
Yes.
Will the but in the case of what's happened in El Paso, southern New Mexico, it's not just a briefing in a skiff. I don't want to hear the spin. I don't want to hear the cover up. I want to hear the facts. I want to hear the truth. I certainly hope that that briefing doesn't have to take place in a skiff. There should be information that's shared with the American people as to what happened there, because that can't happen anywhere else. We need people coordinating. I'm not suggesting we don't go after bad people or bad things. It's not what I'm saying. But we need to make sure that we're keeping people safe as we're also going after bad things throughout the United States that are endangering all of our constituents as well. Thank you for the time, Mr. Chairman.
May I have 10 seconds? Sure. Just, and I don't know, we're not involved in El Paso, but what I will say is we did note the poor safety culture within the air traffic organization. And throughout our investigation, we found numerous people were afraid to talk to us. They didn't want to be formally interviewed. Some people actually came directly to me, and that would not be appropriate for me to talk to them in an investigation. So over time, our investigators were able to gain their trust to then interview them, but some people wouldn't provide their names, they were scared. I can't tell you the number of people who were just scared to speak up because they were worried about retaliation. At our own hearing, I had to get everyone to commit to not retaliate. Still that occurred, but it's not a good culture right now.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Chairman.